Of a fucking bitch. I was supposed to have more time. It was supposed to be, what, June or July that it's out? But no, you just had to go and keep the release to February 10th. You just had to make this the shitty thing. I mentioned you have the news. I can't even be a canary in the coal mines for this to tell people how anti-Semitic it actually is, considering all we've got is just the press release, and I ain't spending a fucking cent on the game. I ain't spending a cent on any of your merch if I can so fucking help it. And it's shitty that some supermarkets here still sell your shit and like include it and like rewards programs. And oh, hi, you know why this video exists. You've seen the thumbnail. Here it is again for your convenience. Here's one of the key pieces of art in said thumbnail. I don't know if I should really get into the situation, but okay. I planned to make and release this video on the release date of one Portuguese game's Hogwarts Legacy, a AAA RPG set in the 1880s in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, where you play a self-insert that can tokenly look like a linebacker while selecting the Witch Dorm. And it's up to you to decide if you're playing a trans man being misgendered or a trans woman being affirmed. But knowing the origin of the series, I know where I'd bet my money if I had any I was willing to bet. If you've been living under a rock, or willingly look away because you cannot admit a piece of media you tied your identity into during your childhood has issues, here's the rundown. Rowling supporting the genocide of trans people and the abuse of trans children by funding her TERF friends so that they can go and advocate for genocide 24/7 365 with a side order of harassing us 24/7 365 on Twitter and other social media with literally no other hobbies. Jessie's done a wonderful job of breaking down everything Rowling's done in her last ever video on her, and in previous videos, link in the description. But if you're watching me, I expect you've already seen it. Further examples of Rowling being a garbage human being. Harry Potter, her most known work, also includes a shitload of anti-Semitism and racism and fatphobia. An example is her association-based naming convention, resulting in the one prominent black dude being named Kingsley Shacklebolt, and the one prominent Asian woman being named two last names from different Asian countries, Cho Chang. For the anti-Semitism, you have the depiction of goblins and their bangs, and someone put the fucking Magen David on the floor of Gringotts in the first movie. There's also the fucking slave race of elves, who a prominent character is mocked for trying to liberate. And when she tried to expand the series out of Britain, she used creatures of Native American folklore and myth as the names for the houses of the American Magic School, and she used Google Translate for the Asian one. Plus, werewolves are an HIV metaphor, and there's a werewolf that werewolves around kids, basically saying this dude is a predator, you know. Not to mention her recent output, detective novels written under the pen name Robert Galbraith, which, by the by, is also the name of the inventor of conversion therapy, have included a lot of transphobia, like the promise of prison rape towards a trans woman suspect in the Silkworm, and the main criminal in her second to last work being a guy that dresses as a Muslim woman in a full burqa to commit crimes. Her latest work is her bitching about being cancelled on Twitter by writing a 700-page book where 80% is just a fictional version of Twitter being quoted as if the reader was scrolling through it themselves. Joanne, Bobby, you cosmically dense Trasmask rotten egg I'd love to milkshake. When I did Twitter and a mouse in the circuitry, it was like 3 tweets in a thread tops in the formatting. They could take up like, what, 5% of the story total? I'll have this fucking segment scrolling by here so that you can see all that. and more has contributed to mine and many others' desire to strip her of her influence and cultural significance by making the polar books irrelevant so that she cannot do more damage than she already has. Equivalent exchange would demand we replace it with something of equal quality. Well, excuse me, while I make a philosopher's stone out of terms to transmute a pile of shit into something of value by giving you recommendations for other works that deal with a witch school. Two in particular, one which was definitely inspired by the one created earlier. This is Read Another Book, Worst Witch and Lil Witch Academia. I fully admit I only have vague recollections of The Worst Witch, and I didn't have the time to dig it out for a rewatch. Fuck you for undoing the delay, Warner Brothers! I remember seeing it on Četá jedna, the Czech national channel, on weekday afternoons and enjoying it. The Worst Witch is a collection of books published before and after the Potter books, focused on a school for witches and our titular Worst Witch, who's a clumsy girl named Mildred. The first book was released in 1974 and the latest in 2018. To give you an idea, and there was a TV series adaptation in 1998 which had a college spin-off in 2001 and a reboot on Netflix in 2017. The adaptation I remember seeing episodes from is the 1998 one. It's a cute little show and a harmless little series about teenage girls at school and the hijinks they get into, except the school is for witches and it avoids political pitfalls with this focus. It deals with stuff like, oh no, I messed up my chemistry homework, except chemistry is potions and that has a bigger impact than me making mustard gas by accident. Or, we're supposed to have a cat to ride with on a broom, but I do not have a cat. Wait, I have a dog. The dog is the best dog. It's such a good dog, and so it's learned to ride alongside me on my broom, and I just need to let them allow me to have it with me on my broom. Being neurodivergent be like. The second thing I'm going to recommend is the one I have more of a connection to, and it is clearly inspired by The Worst Witch in terms of its cast and structure. Little Witch Academia. Honestly, most of this video's runtime will be taken up by it, or close enough. I'm sure that for those familiar with Studio Trigger, when I say that name, a few things come to mind. Buba, Himbos for Generals, Tegekis and Promare. Trigger as a studio is an offshoot of the studio Gainax, which was responsible for the most fun piece of copyright infringement ever captured on Laserdisc, the series that has the most obvious trans girl protagonist ever in Shinji Ikari, and the series about the giant mecha with drills killing a cosmic expression of stagnation nihilism. Tekken 4 opening, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Gurren Lagann, in order. Never seen Eva, so I can't comment on it further. But core creatives of this studio split and created Studio Trigger together, which then made Inferno Cop, which I have not seen, Kill la Kill, which I have seen numerous times and is practically what if Gurren Lagann but girls and anti-fascist? There's Brand New Animal, which is 6 episodes of hijinks about a girl transformed into a tanuki animal person. Yes, there's only 6 episodes. What second half of the series are you talking about? Right, besides that, also Premiere, where some people started self-combusting and gained control over it, and there's a himbo firefighter and a twink firestarter, and they save the world together and do a gay kiss. During all that, They had a small pitch contest from the youngsters at the studio, and from one of them came the idea of Little Witch Academia, a school for witches in the UK in a world where magic is growing weaker and out of fashion. Atsuko Kagari, Ako to everyone she asks to call her dad, trans mood as fuck, a clumsy Japanese girl with undiagnosed ADHD, mood as hell, studying there. Her wish to be as great a witch as Shiny Chariot, her idol, whose magic show she saw when she was 5 years old. Her inability to ride a broom like the other witches. Her roommates and friends, Lotte Jansson, the Finnish girl with artificer heritage, working as the sensible one of the group. Susi Mambavaran, a Southeast Asian girl with no specified country of origin, a lovable freak obsessed with poisons. And the teacher tasked with keeping an eye on Ako, Ursula, as Ako is the first student from a non-witch family and as such doesn't know things, being a retired Shiny Chariot. These were all the core concepts that were made up about Little Witch Academia. The team got to go ahead to make a short film. Then they got to make another one. And then came the call from on high, a full 25 episode long series to explore further things. And one of my favorite shows was born. The show is primarily episodic adventures, but with an overarching narrative. Ako, as a new student with no clue about witches, manages to drag Lotte and Susi into a forbidden forest, which they escape once Ako finds the shiny rod, I guess the medium thing between a staff and a wand is called a rod? Anyways, a rod with 7 crystals in the shape of the Big Dipper that can transform into different modes when a specific phrase is uttered, 1 per mode. This rod was the magical tool that Shiny Chariot used during her magic shows, giving Ako an even bigger drive to awaken its full capabilities. And so, the following episodes either deal with an episode-specific premise that is one and done, or they lead to Ako awakening another of the stars on the rod. And there are some amazing episodes, like the one where Ako saves the literal fish witch because she misunderstood her class and got her thrown down the drain. Or the one where Lotte is a fan of a centuries-running Twilight parody whose authorship is passed down from one author to another and is made the new author because the current one cannot handle all the trolls and haters of her run of the series. Or the one where magic wasp that if stung by, you fall in love with the first person you see, and Diana Cavendish, the rich girl rival almost bully, her cronies are the bullies, she's just kind of dismissive, gets stung by it and falls for Ako before being stung by it again and falling for herself this time, and knowing that the wasp is gone and the enchantment undone, she still blushes about Ako, and this is the shipper trash I love. I also love the one where Ako and Amanda infiltrate the boys' academy and Amanda looks like the hottest fucking butch in the room. I mean, look at her. Awooga, motherfucking awooga. But there is one episode. An episode in the second half of the series that truly, amazingly elevates this series above anything Rowling has ever written. The Class Solidarity episode, episode 14. Luna Nova has a class of worker fairies in its employ who feed off of the magical energy of the Sorcerer's Stone within its tower. Due to magic growing weaker as people believe in it less, the ley lines that once spanned the world have largely dried up, making Luna Nova one of the few places where magic still works, thanks to that Sorcerer's Stone. a massive magical battery. Because the worker fairies, the proletariat, do not get a fair share of said magical energy, they form a union and go on strike. The teachers largely try to bust the union, except for Ursula, Shiny Chariot in retirement, who is neutral. Akko goes out to listen to the fairies and ends up joining them, advocating for them, calls Diana a bougie bitch aristocrat and tells her to fuck off if she isn't there to give in to the union's demands. Sadly, shit happens and the fairies get violent due to an incident involving a fire fairy, and our core trio has to calm them down and let the new cool bitch teacher install a thing on the sorcerer's stone to collect wasted energy and redistribute it, thus getting more energy for everyone. And it gets revealed she planted the seed of the union into the fairies' heads for her plans, which sucks that that's the road the episode goes, suggesting that unions are a nefarious thing. Considering the way the animation industry runs in Japan, I'm not surprised. But until we find that out, until we know that, it's an episode in which a union is formed by exploited magical creatures, and our protagonist not only sides with them passively, but actively joins them and helps with distributing propaganda and functioning as the speaker. Contrast that with the bit in Potter where Hermione tries to get the literal slave race of elves freed, is mocked for it, and for the acronym of her group, SPEW, and told by Hagrid, actually, they like being slaves and would feel aimless and without purpose if they were freed. Hagrid, they're elves, not empty spaces angels, you fucking dolt! Fuck you and the bike you flew in on for supporting Bobby's genocidal agenda. But you know what I did? You know the core issue of what I've talked about so far? It's the creative teams. Potter, Witch Switch, and Little Witch Academia have all been produced by teams led by and consisting of cis people. And this happens every time. Every time there's another middle-aged moment from Bobby, and yes, I'm going to keep calling J.K. Rowling Bobby because it's the diminutive of Robert, and Robert Galbraith is a chosen name, so I'm respecting her decision and chosen name by using it, tangent over. Every time Bobby has a middle-aged moment and advocates for the genocide of trans women and the detransition of trans men, people jump in to suggest alternative works to read. Like Wind's Earthsea books, Sir Pratchett's Discworld books, both excellent. Tweet threads and pages upon pages works done by cis people. Cis people that are allies, sure, like Kay Applegate with her Animorph series and her trans daughter, but cis people nonetheless. Cis people that aren't the targets of genocide like trans women are. Oh sure, cis people of color and cis queer people get put on those lists too, hell sometimes trans men get put there too, but trans women are usually absent. So I'm changing course here. Surprise motherfuckers, I'm not talking about the work of someone I still love to call a friend, but who probably doesn't see me that way anymore. Ella Bambist, known as Ella Mimax on Scribblehub. Ella is a trans woman, like myself. She comes from the same circle of authors I used to be part of, the Secret TG Writing Lair on Discord, which is a group of trans authors writing transfic and posting it first on TG Storytime, then on Royal Road, now on Scribblehub. She has a bunch of novels, all available for free on Scribblehub, or for purchase on her itch page or Amazon. Her most known work is I Didn't Ask to Be the Demon Queen, and its follow-up reboot rewrite retellings. She played with that a lot. A trans woman in denial and the demon queen from a video game world swap places, as does the girl who tried to push the trans woman out of the way of a truck, and the hero of the video game world. resulting in a trans woman in a gender-affirming body, two cis women in dysphoria-inducing bodies, and a cis man in a dysphoria-inducing body. Hijinks ensue, like gay shit, and working towards undoing the damage in the game world and making it a better place for everyone. She's also got two versions of a trans woman Venom story with the same character. The difference is that one is a story about superheroes with a trans woman protagonist, and the other is the story of a trans woman who is also a superhero. The distinction is important in terms of tone and structure, but there is one very specific work of hers that is relevant here. Any other name. There's magic in the world. There is a school for magic users. These magic users sometimes die prematurely. There is a group of people that get them seconds before their death, essentially, but they're still dead. And so these magic users then get trained to become the familiars of the living magic users, bonding with them for life. Our protagonist is a depressed, aimless teenager who gets paired up with a trans girl that was disowned by her family. When the magic user and their familiar are close together, the familiar turns into their animal form. They can change at will if they're separated, but up close, it's human and pet. Our aimless, depressed teen thinks he's a boy. But if that's the case, why does he turn into a girl cat? Why does it feel right? If I was to tell you anything more about the plot, it would spoil the joy of reading it. So I won't. I'll just say that one of Ella's strengths is her stylistic adaptability. She can be an amazing chameleon when writing, taking on aspects of authors she respects and admires to get the right tone for the work. She has done that with all her wonderful works. I also admit I tried to get a little bit of an interview out of Ella, but she didn't really have much to add about any other name. Her idea was bar without pickets. She accomplished that. She used a trans protagonist because queer kids deserve to see themselves in fiction, and it worked for her bare magical school story to have a trans girl as a protagonist. And, she's not the only author who rose from the writing lair. I was part of it too. During my time there, I wrote Deviled Egg, which you can buy on Itch and Amazon as Gourmet Deviled Egg. I keep advertising my Itch in every unscripted Patreon thanks section of my videos, if you haven't noticed or have been skipping that. Trans woman in denial, colloquially an egg, wakes up one morning transformed into a succubus due to the actions of her downstairs neighbor, and has to deal with her demonic heritage and with the fact that she's a trans girl. That's the premise. It's only $5 on Itch for 80,000 words of silly, goofy, heartwarming cheese that you can enjoy guilt-free. Hell, it's 5 and up, so if you wanna throw me $20 for it, I would not refuse it. I'd actually be very thankful. But if you really, really, really cannot give up on Bobby's Wizarding World, if you cannot give up on the bullshit house system that put me in Hufflepuff, satisfied now that you know that, if you cannot give up on that all, then Kaleidoscopic Grangers by Admiral Pegasus on an archive of our own. Blind trans girl Potter gets adopted by the Grangers as a young kid, thus avoiding further Dursley abuse, figures out she's a girl at a really young age. In, funnily enough, section 28 Time Britain, the author is Australian. She didn't know. I checked with her when I was in her Discord. She didn't know. And it goes from there, fixing a lot of problems the series has in terms of characterization and plot, world building, and dealing with trauma in a realistic way. I admittedly didn't finish it, because it has a substantial epilogue section set right after Deathly Hallows where Ariadne and Hermione Granger, trans girl Potter and her adoptive sister in this. I guess it is a hate fic? A fic written out of hate towards the author. Anyways, they go finish their 7th year because they couldn't due to the war. That's the part I didn't finish reading, but I read all the changes Admiral Pegasus did to the 7 books. There's a lot that not only strengthen the world building, but also address a lot of the shit Rowling did. Right? Like, there is an actual alpha advocacy group, and they are not just happy slaves, they are enchanted into that. Still, it's best to let it go, to find joy and safety and other things, because the safety Bobby's books provided to queer kids in the early 2000s has been eroded, blasted away, pissed and chat on, and ridiculed for being pissed and chat on. Sure, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Avalanche developers have already been exploited out of their labor and had their wages stolen. There will be guaranteed layoffs because the game, despite it all, is the fastest selling PS5 and Steam game ever, and the Warner Discovery executives don't want some of the money, as James Stephanie Sterling, thank God for them, would say. They want all of the money, all of the time, and will fire people so they don't have to pay them and can keep that money. The only way to stop that is to unionize the game industry, unionize every industry, and to prevent the genocide of trans people, follow the example of the Hussites in 15th and 17th century Prague. Puppet History video on defenestration covers it. If I say anything more, the police will knock on my door. I will finish with this. Read another book and protect trans kids so they can grow up to be trans adults, and protect trans adults and their rights which are being taken away. Do not look away. Do not ignore the genocide currently taking place. You've done that for 7 fucking years already, and look where that got us, you spineless liberal cocks. Yes, the commie queer trans woman fucking called the people letting her kind be murdered and stripped of dignity, spineless liberal cocks. Good fucking night. You know, I could be angrier if I wanted to. I could swear more. I could point to many more things. But I have so many better things to do. So many better things to do than focus on this shit. I'm playing through the Xenoblade series. By this time this video is out, I'll have beaten 2 and started 3 without doing New Game Plus, which is something in the future. I have things to write, like videos I enjoy, and I have story ideas that I'd love to write. There are so many things I could be doing. I could have my girlfriend read Nona the Ninth to me as I lay in bed at night waiting to fall asleep. I could go for a walk. I have a job for now, being a guard. I could watch other YouTubers talk about things they love and enjoy. I could go play Power Wash Simulator, cleanse my brain of everything. Hell, if I wanted to, I could go play the Lego Power game. Did you ever forget that? There's 2 Lego Power games, years 1 to 4 and 5 to 7, that exist. They're one of the best Lego games out there. That's on GOG, meaning it's extremely easy to pirate it. FitGirl Repacks.site, FitGirl Repacks.site, look it up. You can play that if you really desperately want to play a Power game. It has character creation because you can create your own minifigure in there. And it covers the movies, meaning it nearly avoids the new anti-Semitism of the game where it's fucking goblins doing an uprising with a dark wizard and stealing kids. Protocols of the Elders of Zion, motherfucking pieces of shit. All of that exists and could be done, but no such thing for us. It's just you know? But that's not what this section of the video is. This is the Patreon thanks section. And if you learned anything from this video, I hope it is that you should support trans creators, because we are under attack. If you're being like, what trans rights don't trans people have? It's not that we don't have rights, it's that they're being taken away. Healthcare bans. West Virginia has a fucking trans people can't be around kids ban in the works. It's not that we don't have the rights, it's that the rights we have are being taken away. So it helps to also, while that happens, not have to worry about getting to eat and having a roof over my head and like maybe making enough to be able to move away from my parents' place, or I have to move in again because my uncle was an asshole, cut the power to the place I was staying completely had that removed, resulting in it being a frozen hell space because he does not want to pay anything, and now he's paying way more than if he had just fucking kept the power on and kept the gas on. I would have paid for that. I would have covered that. I would have spent like 6,000, 5,000 even, to stay there, to not have to worry, but no, he won't allow that. So I'm back with my parents, and I like to move so that I have privacy again. So, because this is the Patreon thanks section, remember, Patreon, itch, coffee links, all in the description below. Patrons monthly donations, coffee is a one-time thing, itch.io is you buy my shit, buy my books. As mentioned, Gourmet Double Egg is there, and in fact, when this video comes out, February 10th, there will be a week-long bundle. There will be a week-long bundle where you can get all my works for $10 minimum, right? It'll be in a bundle, $10 minimum, you get everything I've uploaded on itch.io. Everything. So if you haven't gotten that yet, it's a steal. It's a massive fucking steal. So here we go. $20 Aurora. $10 Kylie the Healer Witch. $5. Thank you everybody for watching, for indulging me. And I'll see you next time with hopefully a more fun topic. Like the... Sorry. Pro tip: drink a lot when you're recording, and don't scream your heart out with feeling. Or is he gonna cough that same heart out? Ugh. Yeah, like ROR, like the ROR, right? Or similar stuff. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.